Hey solo gamers, thanks for checking out How's It Play Solo. I'm Mac Kern, and today I'm taking a look at the Gates of Loyang, which is a game for 1 to 4 players where you buy, grow, sell, and trade vegetables. Normally, when I do a review like this, I give an overview of the multiplayer game, and then I take a look at the differences in a solo game. But for this review, I'm kind of going to do both at the same time, with an emphasis on the solo game. Some of the multiplayer game elements are quite a bit different, and I'm going to gloss over those. Let's check it out. There are a couple different types of cards in the game. I'll go over all of them in detail later, but they all come from the same deck. And when you set up a solo game, you set out a few cards for a dummy player that emulates some of the interaction of the multiplayer game. So you reveal cards from the deck until you've revealed 2 of these regular customers, 2 casual customers, and 2 market stalls. And with the market stalls, you place the appropriate vegetables on those cards. Any extra cards that you reveal while you're searching for these get discarded. After you set up cards for the dummy player, you create an offer by randomly revealing cards from the top of the deck until you have 16 cards, 4 rows of 4. Once you set up the offer, you can set up your personal player board. So you have a scoring marker on the number 1 space on your prosperity track, and you have a personal shop that is filled with vegetables. You'll also notice there are a couple spaces that start empty at the beginning of the game. You have a home field. You always start the game with this home field. And then you also have 8 fields that you start the game with. And these fields have between 3 and 6 spaces. And when you set up this pile, you take 1 set of each of those values, shuffle it up, put it on the bottom of the stack. Then you have another set of each of those values, 3 to 6. You shuffle that and place it on top of the first stack. And then after you take a look at the cards in the offer, you buy 1 vegetable from your shop and plant it in your home field. You start the game with 10 coins, and each of the vegetables has a different price. So it costs 3 coins to buy a wheat from the shop. You can buy a pumpkin for 4. You can buy a turnip for 5. And those are the only 3 vegetables that can be planted on your home field. So the bigger a field is, the less types of vegetables that can be planted on it. Whereas some of the smaller fields, the smallest field can handle any type of vegetable. So you're gonna buy either a wheat, a pumpkin, or a turnip, and after you pay for it, you're going to plant it in your home field. And when you plant something in one of your fields, you take the 1 vegetable that you have and place it in the field, and then you fill the rest of the empty spaces in that field with vegetables from the supply. And at the Gates of Loyang, your goal is to progress as far as you can along the path of prosperity. The rulebook recommends for a solo game, 17 is considered a good score. So that's what I normally aim for. You advance along this track by accumulating money, which you gain by buying, trading, and selling vegetables in a variety of ways. The game takes place over 9 rounds, and each round is divided into 3 phases. In the first phase, you take a vegetable off of each one of your fields that has a vegetable planted on it, and then you flip over the top card of your field deck. Now, if at any point you remove the last vegetable from a field, that field gets discarded and is not used for the rest of the game. Also, in the solo game, the first time that you discard one of these field cards because of removing the last vegetable, you take the discards from the cards used to create the dummy player's hand and also the cards in the offer. You take those discards and you shuffle them back into the deck. The second phase of a round is the card phase, and during this phase, you can purchase up to 2 cards from the offer. Now, the offer is unique to the solo game. In the multiplayer game, you have a card drafting process during the card phase, and I'm just going to skip over the rules for that because it's not relevant to how the solo game is played. So you can buy up to 2 cards from the offer, and if you want to buy a card from the first row, it doesn't cost you anything. If you buy a card from the second row, it costs 1 coin, and cards from the bottom 2 rows cost 2 coins. So let's say that I take this helper and this casual customer. That would cost me 1 coin, and then I clear all of the cards in the first row. And then I replace gaps from the top to the bottom by sliding cards up from below. And then I replace any missing cards at the bottom by revealing cards from the deck. When you buy cards from the offer, you place them in the designated space around your player board, and different cards have different spaces. So if you purchase a market stall, you place it in the designated area, and you also place the appropriate vegetables on that card. If you buy a casual customer, you place that in its designated area. Helpers have a designated space, and also regular customers have a dedicated space. And when you get a regular customer, you have to place a blue satisfaction marker on that card. You can also buy extra fields from the offer, and extra fields can provide you a pretty strong advantage. So when you purchase one of these, in addition to the price you paid for buying the card for the offer, you have to pay another 2 coins to place that with the rest of your fields, and then you can use that field to plant on. The third phase of a round is the action phase, and this is where most of the excitement in the game happens. There's a number of different actions that you can perform, and you can perform as many actions as you like in the action phase. So one of the actions that you can do is you can sow vegetables. Just like I planted in my field at the beginning of the game, if I have any vegetables, I can plant those in one of my available fields. Again, not every field can accommodate every type of vegetable, but if you have an appropriate field, you place a vegetable there and you fill the rest of the empty spaces with vegetables from the supply. You can also buy vegetables from the shop. As I mentioned earlier, every vegetable has its own price. Again, wheat costs 3, so I could buy a wheat for 3 coins. You can also sell vegetables to the shop. So if you have empty spaces in your shop, you can sell vegetables. The price that the shop pays for vegetables is much lower than the price that you pay to buy vegetables. So if you want to sell a turnip to the shop, you can get 1 coin for that. If you sell a bean or a leek, you can get 2 coins for those by selling to the shop. Another thing you can do during the action phase is use market stalls. And when you use a market stall, for this market stall, I could discard any one vegetable to take a vegetable off of this card. So I could get rid of the turnip that I have in my supply, and I could get a leek for it. Some of these, you have to trade 2 vegetables to get 1 vegetable. So that just varies according to the market stall that you have. You can also use or discard helpers. Helpers are the only cards that you're allowed to discard without using. Sometimes that's to your advantage. I'll explain that later. Helpers kind of give you situational advantages, and some of them have unique effects for the solo game because a lot of these have interactive effects. So this one would let you swap this helper for a helper from the offer. So maybe there's something that costs 2 coins and you were able to get the con man for free. You would be able to pull something from the offer by using that card. Another thing you can do during the action stall is deliver to your regular customers. So regular customers, they will buy from you up to 4 times over the course of the game, once per round. So if I had a pumpkin and a wheat, I could deliver to this regular customer and they would pay me, for the first time, they would pay me 4 coins. Now, if there's a round where you don't deliver to a regular customer, you have to flip their satisfaction marker to the red side. And if you fail to deliver to a customer during a later round where the satisfaction marker is already on the red side, you lose 2 coins. And that kind of brings me to, if you ever at any point want to take out a loan, you can take out a loan of 5 coins, and that will reduce your score by 1 at the end of the game for every loan you have. If you owe 2 coins because you failed to deliver to a regular customer and you don't have the money to pay it, you have to take a loan. After you've delivered to a regular customer for the 4th time, you discard that card and return all of the vegetables on that card to the supply. Also during the action phase, you can deliver to casual customers. Casual customers work a little bit differently because they'll only buy from you 1 time. And the price, the amount of money that you get for delivering to a casual customer varies based on how many regular customers you have. So if you have more regular customers than casual customers at the time that you deliver to a casual customer, you actually get a 2 coin bonus. But if you have more casual customers around your board than you have regular customers, you get 2 coins less than the base price. And then if you have the same number of regular and casual customers, you just get the base price listed on that card. When you deliver to a casual customer, you also discard that card. One final action that I can perform during the action phase is buying a 2-pack. And you can only do this once per action phase. But the price that you pay for the 2-pack is determined by the number of market stalls or helpers that you have. So you look at the number of market stalls you have, you look at the number of helpers you have, and whichever number is greater is how many you pay. So if I just have 1 market stall, it's only going to cost me 1. If I have 1 market stall and 2 helpers, it would cost me 2 coins. And that's why you might want to discard a helper without using it if you want to reduce the price of a 2-pack. When you buy a 2-pack, you draw 2 cards from the top of the deck, and you decide if you want to keep either or both of those cards. You don't have to keep any. If you keep one, you just place it in its designated area, just like you had purchased the card from the offer. If you keep both of them, you can only use one of them at a time. So you decide which card you want to place on top, and you put that card in its designated area. So I would place this with my market stalls, I would fill it with vegetables, and then I couldn't use the card beneath it until I had taken all of the vegetables off of this card and discarded it. And at that point, I would move this casual customer to its designated space, and I would be able to sell vegetables to that customer. Once you've taken as many actions as you like during the action phase, you store vegetables on your cart. And by default, your cart can only hold 1 vegetable between rounds. But if you like, you can pay 2 coins to upgrade your cart so that it can hold 4 vegetables from round to round. If you don't have an upgraded cart and you have additional vegetables, you can sell them to the shop. If you can't sell them to the shop, then you have to discard them. After you've stored your vegetables, you can progress on the prosperity track. And each round, the first step you advance on the prosperity track only costs you 1 coin. And you can advance additional steps, but you have to pay the price of the step. So if I want to move to the 3rd step, it costs me 3 coins. And I could move to the 4th on this turn by paying 4 coins for that. So over the course of the game, it becomes more expensive to take additional steps on the prosperity track. It's kind of hard for me to pin down exactly how I feel about At the Gates of Loyang. I definitely enjoy the solo experience much more than the multiplayer game. I think it flows a little bit more smoothly, and also it eliminates the potential for downtime. The multiplayer game can kind of suffer from that. I think that one of the greatest strengths about the game is the variability in the card offer. No 2 games will play out the same because your card offer always looks so different. And I like that you set that card offer up before you even plant your first field, because it gives you an opportunity to kind of look at the cards that are available, and you can kind of get some basic ideas about the strategy that you want to pursue. I also really appreciate the balance of strategy and tactics that you have to employ in this game, because you have a little bit of foreknowledge, you can plan out a little bit, but also there's a lot of turnover in the card offer, and so you never really know what's coming up a few rounds ahead of time. I think that the variability that the game offers, while it's one of its greatest strengths, it can also lead to the occasional lackluster game. I think that sometimes you can be a little bit too much at the mercy of the card offer, and it just feels like there's nothing beneficial that you can do. Now, I will say that in almost every game I've played, I score between 15 and 17 points. So it seems pretty consistent, but it doesn't always feel that way when you're in the middle of a game and there's just no solid options in the card offer. I also think that there's a little bit, maybe I don't love the luck involved in the buy a 2-pack action, because money is so tight in this game. If you have to spend any money to buy that 2-pack and then you get 2 cards that don't do anything for you, it kind of feels like a waste. But that's part of the game, is knowing when it's wise to spend the money on that action, or keeping your helpers and market stalls to a minimum so that it's easier to afford those actions. Overall, I feel pretty positive about At the Gates of Loyang. It's a pretty satisfying solo experience that I can play in under an hour, and some of the card interactions are really cool, and they make you feel like a genius when you pull off something really neat. So I really love the variability of the game. It does feel a little too lucky at times, but I think this is a game that I would love to see Uwe Rosenberg revisit, kind of like he's done with some of his earlier games, and take some of the ideas from this game and implement them into a new game with all of the experience that he's accumulated. But overall, if you're interested in the theme, if you're interested in the tactical and strategic decisions that you get to make in this game, it's definitely worth your time. Check it out.